Recently, I was staying with my girlfriend for a long weekend, and over the course of that weekend, we both kind of bonded over our shared love for Springtrap in FNAF 3. At one point, I would have said he was my favorite character, and he's definitely my girlfriend's favorite. Something about this zombie, child-killing rabbit just really spoke to us, I guess. But it got me heavily interested in replaying FNAF 3. FNAF 3, for the most part, is commonly regarded as the worst FNAF game, or at least the worst made by Scott Cawthon. Its aesthetic is profoundly ugly, its gameplay is repetitive and kind of monotonous, and its reuse of assets from the previous games made it seem cheap, especially when comparing the major stylistic differences between FNAF 1 and 2. Altogether, I think many people would be happy if FNAF 3 wasn't the end of the series, because you never want to end a series on a sour note. Then we got FNAF 4, and I still don't think we've recovered from that one. But in replaying FNAF 3 during this long weekend, keeping an open mind and pretty much having completely forgotten it by this point, I went into it and had actually a really good time. Pastor made a video a while back explaining why FNAF 3 was his favorite in the series, and while I'm not sure I would go that far, he definitely has a lot of solid points. I think it's time I did as he did and reevaluate the semi-grand semi-finale of the FNAF series. I want to start things out by talking visuals. The visuals of FNAF 3 are very gritty, dusty, and overall rotten, which I'm admittedly still iffy on. From FNAF 2 onwards, Scott used selective color palettes to make the games stand out from one another, with FNAF 2's being orange, 3's being green, 4's being red, etc., etc. Essentially, he tried to associate one particular color with each entry in the series, and I think that in this instance, it really worked out. The amount of green in this game is enough to put Seth Rogen in the hospital, and let me tell you, it's not just green, it's vomit green. The setting of this game is Fazbear Frights, a haunted house style attraction that allowed guests to walk around and see memorabilia of the twisted past of Freddy Fazbear's, all while a shit ton of books were apparently being written, one of which foretold the very same place burning down, and I'm starting to think that calling these books Fazbear Frights was really, really dumb. For a haunted house attraction, I mean, it's okay, not necessarily unrealistic, but the layout is a bit confusing. I imagine this isn't something the player's really gonna notice, but ever since I came to the realization that there's no kitchen in FNAF 2, I pay attention to these things. Otherwise, everything here honestly looks fantastic. I cannot get over the old Freddy suit by the door, or the foxy head with lights in it. It gives off such a cheesy but eerie vibe to it, like in a movie where the stoner characters are using a Ouija board and you just know they're gonna get haunted, but it's still fun to watch them talk like they're from California. But the best part of the visuals to me is just how well they match the game's central antagonist, Springtrap. Springtrap looks like he was peeled right off the wall of this place. Of course, it also has the effect where outside of FNAF 3, frankly, he looks fucking stupid. Now this might be a hot take, I don't really know, but I just can't take Springtrap seriously when he's grouped with all the other animatronics from throughout the series. The way he hobbles around with that big toothy grin, frankly, he looks drunk. And don't get me started on just how out of place Scraptrap looks. FNAF 3 is just the only place he looks good, and when I say that, I do mean FNAF 3, not the FNAF 3 section of Help Wanted. The sort of funkofication of this guy ruined his appearance in this game, at least for me. I mean, he's not awful, but seriously, he's way too yellow. But like I said, he looks perfect in FNAF 3, and that visual symmetry is part of why I love looking at this gross doggy bag of a game. From an audio standpoint as well, I think this game is pretty much the peak of the series. It has such a unique, malicious twang to its soundtrack that I think outweighs even the iconic menu music of the second game. The menu music of FNAF 3 is stringy and scary and gets you right in the mood. I'll play a small sample here. Next up, let's talk about minor sound effects. The beginning of the night, the equipment reboot, Springtrap in the vents, and that iconic jump scare. I honestly think that the FNAF 3 jump scare sound effect is my favorite in the series. It kinda reminds me of the Alien series. Wouldn't be the first time Scott's jump scares had an alien sound to them. Of course, it's not exactly paired up with the best visuals always. I'm very quickly going to run through arguably the most valid criticism FNAF 3 receives regularly. That being, it's a jump scare factory full of half-assed jump scares. Now, while playing FNAF 3 is much like walking through the generic brand aisle of jump scares, I actually do hold some of these in high regard. Notably, I think Phantom Foxy's jump scare and Phantom Freddy's jump scares are pretty good. Phantom Foxy jumping onto you is surprising and definitely makes you shrink into your seat a bit, and Phantom Freddy's is the most ghostly feeling to me with how he just stares at you while coming towards you. Springtrap does the same, but I think his issue is that he so obviously just walks towards you, while Phantom Freddy really just pops up out of nowhere. It's a two-part jump scare for sure. The dread of watching him walk by and then duck down build up to his sudden appearance in front of you. All of the others though, well, not impressed would be putting it lightly. I do believe that FNAF 3 on average has some of the worst jump scares in the series, but it's not like all of them are that bad. The last thing to talk about this game is, well, the game, and the story for that matter. FNAF has a great method of storytelling through minigames and phone calls, but I'm honestly mixed on both this time around. The minigames, while entertaining, are really convoluted to get to and aren't really that fun as minigames in the first place. Mango's quest feels like helping an old lady cross the street, and Stage 01 actually sent me to the hospital. But the final cutscene involving William Afton's death really kinda makes up for it. It's very poetic storytelling, and at the time I couldn't believe it. It was simply a fantastic ending to a terrific story. And then FNAF 4, the phone calls are also kinda hit or miss for me. Night 1's is infamously long and doesn't really do much other than tell you where you are, and Night 2's onwards are more impersonal because they weren't left for you, they were left for employees in the 80s. That said, these calls also tell a lot more about what Fazbear Entertainment used to be like, and allows you to slowly piece together just what the hell Springtrap even is. Also, Phone Dude is totally rad. The real meat and potatoes of this game is the gameplay, and I think most people who go back to play this game will say, "Hey, why did I hate this so much?" and then get jump scared by Phantom BB and unplug their desktop. The basic explanation is that Springtrap will gradually make his way towards you, but you have a chance to defend yourself pretty much at all times. If he's in a room with a vent, he will use that vent to make his way as quick as possible, so seal it up as soon as you can. Otherwise, try to keep him far away from you by luring him away with audio lures. Thrown into the mix are a handful of phantom animatronics who will jump scare you and rob you of a system anytime they manage to get their rocks off. Most of the time this is going to be ventilation, but characters like Phantom Puppet and Phantom Mango will instead create distractions that prevent you from working as efficiently. Arguably the worst is Phantom Foxy, who has no discernible trigger or safeguard. Sometimes he's there, sometimes he's not, and he'll stick around until he gets you. That would be all cool, except... yeah, this control panel is the bane of my existence in this game. Whenever a phantom gets you, you have to reboot ventilation. Ignoring ventilation is a death sentence. If Springtrap is at your door, he will move in on the next blackout. But even worse, failing ventilation means you can see multiple Springtraps on the cameras, and that's just no good for anyone. Later nights will also make your cameras and audio run out faster, and I personally just find that unfair. I mean, really, it's worse than FNAF 1 cutting your power or FNAF 2 making the music box tick down faster, because in this game, you have no control over how often you'll need to use these tools as survival, whereas in those other games, you are very much in control of how much you pay attention to them. That said, I do think an element of unfairness adds to the tension and dread, and oddly enough makes the game more fun on higher difficulties. Honestly, the first couple nights Springtrap is active can kinda be a snooze once you learn how to deal with him, and this restraint on how often you use cameras and the audio lure can be a fun challenge. But f*** the ventilation ticking down sooner, that's just actually annoying. So, I think I reached my verdict on FNAF 3. It is a complex mess of a game with mechanics that either suit you or don't, and to me, I actually like them when they come together. Don't get me wrong, this game has flaws everywhere, but so does FNAF 1, 2, 4, etc. I think the reason it got picked apart so heavily was because of just how skeptical people were in the first place. People complained it was too easy, too ugly, when really they just weren't used to FNAF 3 yet. But now that I am used to it, I can safely say I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than FNAF 4, more than Sister Location, more than Pizza Sim, dare I say even more than FNAF 1. Call it sacrilege, but I really like this game in comparison to the slow panic of FNAF 1. This game just creeps up on you more, I feel. Of course, I'm going to hide my opinions on Security Breach over here so as not to upset any more of the fanbase. Maybe another time I'll finally come out about that game. Until next time, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share around. Let me know what you guys want to see next. Peace. I'm gonna die on night 4 again.
unfortunate incident at the sister location involving multiple and simultaneous spring lock failures, the company has deemed the suit temporarily unfit for employees. Safety is top priority at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, which is why the classic suits are being retired to an appropriate location while being looked at by our
Where the
technicians.
hell is he?
Until replacements
What?
arrive, you'll be
Motherfucker,
expected
you
to wear
did
the
not
temporary
just...
costumes of
Where
provided
the
suits.
hell are you?
Keep in mind that they were found on very short notice, so
Oh.
questions about appropriateness/relevance should be deflected.
I hate when he does that.
Classic suits are
He
not to
just
be
kind of
touched,
vanishes.
activated, or worn. That being said,
He
we are
doesn't even
free of
like go
liability
anywhere on the cam
should you
system.
wish.
He's just
As
gone.
always, remember
Where
to
did he
smile.
go?
You are the face of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza.
Please be there. He's there. That one was foxy. Is he in the vents?
Hi.
What happened? Okay, no, he's still there. Why do I hear the danger sound? What? How did you... Hi. Okay. Oh, Go away, go away, go away, go away.
Hello.
It's not a good time for this. Well, I think that'll bring me to the 10-minute mark. That's good.